Welcome to We Know Marketing, We Promise, a podcast where strategy meets conversation. We're Naoma and Kelsey, two agency owners who live and breathe branding and marketing. We're here to share real stories, smart strategies, and fresh ideas to help you build a brand that actually works. So grab a seat and your favorite drink and let's dive in.
We're back.
Part 3.
Talking about the systems and tools you need to actually put this all together and do what you say you're going to do.
Yes, and for us to help you, we tell you all this information in the last 2 episodes for your first 90 days of marketing, but these are the things that you need to plug all this information into. This is how you can actually execute it well and it not absolutely consume your time.
Or live in your notes app like it did on mine for a long, long time.
Oh, that stresses me out.
Yeah, I have like 400 notes on my app.
That's crazy.
That's still my scratch paper.
I do love notes for scratch paper. I have a lot of notes. I might have 400.
A lot of great ideas are in there, but final execution is not from a notes app.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right. Okay, so then what do you use? I can obviously tell you what we use. But...
Okay, so for email, I love Flowdesk. It's just the most intuitive, easiest to use, looks good. You can put the branding in there. There's templates for you to play with. I love Flowdesk. So that's what I've been using for, I don't even know, like 3-4 years at this point.
For 100 emails.
Yeah. Well, now, that's crazy. 100 email going out.
And you schedule them. So if you do want to batch write your emails, you can schedule them out. I would recommend having a project management system for all of your marketing. So having a tab, we use ClickUp, but having a tab for email, having a tab for personal brand, having a tab for business brand content.
Yeah.
And being able to move things through some type of board or have a due date, because when push comes to shove or your week gets crazy busy, having it in a system that you're going in and looking at every single day is really helpful. So
yeah, if I can give a hot take on the system, because I've, like you all know, I love a software, but I'm also like a crazy system efficient person that I kind of have yelled at my team for not naming files the right name. Like that's how crazy I am. But I have it that way because I can find any file within 2 minutes.
yes.
But before you get into a software or figure out your system on paper or on a whiteboard first.
Yes.
What is that sequence that makes sense in your brain? And then go find the software that works with your brain processing.
Yeah. For me, a board view is great if I can move something from to do to in progress. And then at the end of the week, move everything over to done because I'm working on it throughout the week.
Yeah.
Feels great to me. Love to be able to see the visual of it. Love to know that I got what I needed to get done. Done.
And I know that Kelsey and I both use ClickUp. I love ClickUp. I'm a ClickUp power user now.
That's right.
But for some people, ClickUp can be very overwhelming if you're not really using it as your project management system. This is truly for only your content. I would almost tell you to go over to a Trello.
Yeah, something more simple.
Something that feels a lot more simple. Monday or like the Motion app that's like made for ADHD people. Something like that feels a little bit more manageable because you're not running your whole business out of it.
Yeah.
So while I love ClickUp, it may be really overwhelming for some.
Right. We run our entire business out of ClickUp. So I really like having it in one place, but I've also heard people don't like that. And so if like their entire business and all their client work is in ClickUp, they would rather go to Trello every day and see. But for me, like I need to know, I have so much like client work that I'm also doing that having it in one spot is so helpful for me. It's all just under different boards. And so if you're already utilizing a project management system or a CRM or whatever, like stay in that.
If it makes sense for you.
If it makes sense for you. And then just add maybe a couple of other boards for email and beginning to do personal brand strategy or content and then business brand content. Sorry.
I've seen people just get so obsessed with the software first and then...
Oh, it's so fun though. All the automations. Move it to a different spot and it assigns it and due date and
coded. And I mean, it's like shopping for school supplies. You're like, oh my gosh, I love it. And then it's like time to do homework. And you're like, no.
You're like, oh, and now I have to brainstorm 30 pieces of this content.
So that's what I'm saying. Like figure out the system that's simplest for you. And the best way to do that is to whiteboard out what works in your brain of like how I would produce this much content and then find the software for that.
Yes.
So a lot of people try to get into the board or into the software without having like written it down. As a designer, I am like a big proponent of like pen to paper first, pencil to paper first, and then we figure it out. So write it down, whiteboard it, whatever that system in your brain is, and then go find the software for it. Um, that's one. And then we can really talk about how do we batch things. So I do use ChatGPT.
Yep.
I have a folder in my ChatGPT, and I have some rules in that project. But I really let that, there is a caveat. It does not write for me. I am inputting all of the ideas and the thought process and a big chunk of stuff. It's not saying, "Hi, ChatGPT, write me a whole content calendar." It is definitely me putting in a lot more into it
Yeah.
and it getting to know me over time, that it can then help me brainstorm or expand on some of my ideas more or further. Or what I really love to use it for is when I have a really great piece of content that I know went really well on LinkedIn or was well received on my email, I then put it into ChatGPT and I'm like, help me write this into a carousel. Help me write this into a video script. Help me write this into this. And that's how to really leverage ChatGPT, not really just rely on it to be your marketing
Yeah.
person, because
Yeah.
it's not going to work that well.
No, I mean, even with your brand strategy, your marketing strategy, the content pillars, that entire document, your ICP, like you can give it all of that. And if you still don't give it a framework for the content idea,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to do a great job for you. So you really can give it all of that and then also say, like, this is what I want to write my weekly email on. Here's the story I want to tie in. Here's the main value I want the audience to understand, blah, 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 blah. And then see what it spits out and then still edit it. Like,
Yeah.
it helps it big time. Like,
Yeah.
it saves me a ton of time, but you do have to be really intentional with how much information you give it and the parameters and the guidelines you give it.
Yeah.
And then you can take it and turn it into a bunch of different types of content. So
Actually, this is like a Naoma hot tip is when I put those things in, I say I put in the whole idea. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is the story for my newsletter, whatever. Ask me 5 questions to flesh this out.
yes.
So I make it be like my,
Did I miss anything?
did I miss anything? Is there something missing? Does something not
Is there
make
something
sense?
my ICP is going through right now based on what you see on the internet that I should talk about involving this? Like, those are the questions I ask it too, because it'll research the entire
Yeah.
web and ask a bunch of questions like, oh yeah, wait, I see this just happened in this industry and this. Here's how you could tie that in. It's like, oh, and then I can go read about what that was.
Yeah.
And then maybe even change some of the content
Some
in
of
the
the
email.
content. Yeah. So
Very helpful.
use it, but don't trust it 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is day 60 through 90 that we're talking about. So we've now talked about a project management system, AI tools,
Mhm.
and then the other thing I wanted you to talk about specifically is Canva,
Okay.
because we talked about the formats in the last episode. So
Mhm.
they're going to need some type of static content, carousels, things like that.
Yeah.
How do you utilize Canva as a tool and with all of your brand? And like, gosh, that's like a whole nother animal.
Yeah. So this is what I do is because we do this for our clients a lot. We usually do a bucket of templates for them. But you want to build your brand kit in Canva. So you want to say these are the colors, these are the fonts. If you have images, upload your images. When you're building out your brand kit, put in the SVG file of your logo, of your patterns, of whatever, because when you're using it in Canva, it'll allow you to change the colors of it
Yeah.
to your brand. So don't upload the PNG or the JPEG, upload the SVG. And if your designer did not give you an SVG, call them and ask them for the SVG file. They will give it to you. Upload your fonts into it, please, or find a similar font in Canva that you can use, or Google Fonts, right? Upload it all. And then when you're building things out, I always think of what are the things that I need to create. So I need to create carousels. And I'd like to, when I'm doing this for clients, I like to give them about 3 to 4 different carousels. So like templates. So they can all kind of look similar, but they're a little bit different. Like if this is a listicle carousel, or if this is me breaking down a thing carousel, and then I do 2 of each. So that way I give them more variety. So when you're posting a carousel every week, it does not look like the same carousel.
Yeah.
That's one. When we're designing in Canva, this is the hardest thing to explain to people who are not designers and don't have a design team, but you really need to think about the hierarchy. So, what is the first thing I want people to read? What is the second thing? And what is the call to action? And the problem that I see all the time on all social, because there's usually not a designer behind it, it is Canva, and I get it, but it's that everything is about the same size. Nothing should be about the same size. It should all be very different sizes so that you can see the hierarchy. This is a designer hot tip, is we read in a Z pattern in the Western world. So we start at the top and we scan over, we go directly down, and then we end right here at the bottom right. So like a Z.
Mm,
So your call to action should always end in that Z, the end of the Z.
that's good to know.
So think of
Or
that.
even if that's like an arrow pointing to the next
The
carousel,
arrow,
that needs to be in the very bottom.
That's why the arrow is always
makes
there.
sense.
That's why the logo tends to be there. It's just a little,
The email, the website, whatever you're trying to get them to.
that is a designer hot tip. We read in a Z.
I have a question. So with
Yeah.
the templates, you said you'll design 3 to 4. Can they literally copy and paste in text?
Yep.
Like type in ChatGPT, I want this to be, so the templates that your team gives them, they can, like I could type in 3 ways to, create your content strategy in 90 seconds, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, and you already have the listicle template, carousel template.
Wow, so I would just be typing in like
each page.
Wow, okay. I did not realize that. I thought you still had to like move stuff around and like, I mean, obviously if it's like super long text,
It just depends on,
you have to be careful.
that's why we like to give them, like we do lorem ipsum, which is the fill-in text.
Yeah.
It's called Greeking. So we usually do Greeking so that you can kind of tell how long
It needs to be.
your sentence should be.
That's great.
Because a lot of people try to go like write these huge paragraphs. The thing is, nobody is going to read those big paragraphs. And I also like to think of like what is actually legible when you're doing those carousels. So on anything digital, the smallest size that people could read is a 16 point.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I like to stay, when it's a carousel, I like to stay in the 18 to 24 point zone, and then making the title more of like a 50, 60 point.
That's great. Okay, so then I'm going to just keep going down this.
I know
think it's
Kelsey's
really
just going to
helpful.
ask me all the design questions.
Well, because now I'm thinking like, okay, we have these colors, we have these fonts, everything's looking great with our design, graphics on social, but what about video content? Like a lot of times when we're doing video content for a client, we ask for their brand guide so that we can get their colors and the
build
font.
up their brand kit.
But what about like stories and stuff like that? And if they're creating video content, same thing, like just be very consistent with the fonts that you're using.
Oh, please do. Like, even if you've changed the font in Canva and you're using a font that's similar, just stay to that. Like if you started using DM Sans in Canva, that's what we use for ours.
Yeah.
Like, don't change it.
How many fonts are in like stories when you're looking at Instagram stories? Because I know this is something new that you're kind of doing for clients. It's like building out
their little,
how they need to,
their little playground.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it, the social playground.
That's fun.
TM.
Trademark. Don't steal it.
But my thought is, when we're designing these things, we know that a designer is not then taking them. Usually it's somebody who can move in Canva, but doesn't know how like what hierarchy is, or the Z pattern, or like all those things that I inherently know from designing for like 15 years now. So I try to make it as simple as possible. I really try to stick to 2 fonts per graphic. That means your brand could have 3 fonts, like our brand for We Know Marketing has 3 fonts.
Yep.
But very rarely do you see all three
being used.
3 being used. And we use it because we know how to play with the typography.
Yeah,
if
because my
you
team's not doing any of the design.
because if you don't know, like if you don't really have a brand kit, which tends to happen, you have one font and then you're kind of like figuring it out on your own. The best solution I can tell you is find two fonts, and your primary font is stay, and then your secondary should be the complete opposite of what that font is. So if your primary font is thick and chunky and wide and low, like when I say X height, it's like the top of a lowercase x. If that's really low and feels like it's kind of crunched, your secondary font should feel really light and airy and tall and thin, like a din.
Yeah.
That's a type of font. So those pair really well because the contrast is so high. When the contrast is really similar, it's very hard to build a hierarchy. It's very hard to show the difference, and then things start to look like an accident rather than intentional. And when things look like an accident, they look amateur.
Yeah.
So if you only
So-
have one font, find a pairing that is the complete opposite and avoid script because you don't know how to use it and you look like Etsy and you are not Etsy.
Amazing. Great advice. So with an Instagram story, Instagram has different fonts and like
Stick to one font in Instagram.
and just like do that one.
Pick
like the fun ones on the stories.
Yes, pick that
So,
one
like,
and do not use Comic Sans.
So like the white background and the black text that I do on all of mine, like I should just keep doing that
Keep
because
doing
that's
that.
what I'm doing.
That's what
and
I
that's
do.
my brand.
I do
For-
the literature font and
Yeah.
I do it with the black background or sometimes the pink. That's it. Do not
Stick to that.
Do not
Don't post
add
stories
more.
different days with different fonts and colors and all the things.
And even when I'm sharing, like when I'm sharing a thread onto my social stories, I change the background to
I
be
noticed
pink.
that.
So change your background to
What color is it naturally?
whatever the photo's grabbing.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it'll be white. Sometimes it'll have
Okay.
that blur thing with the green underneath, or it's an orange underneath and it looks real ugly. You can go to the draw,
And change it to your brand color.
change it to your brand color, and then you just hold on the background and it'll change the whole background to your color.
That's rad.
So do that. It just adds a little extra consistency and a little extra polish, and it looks like you're being intentional and not like a 14-year-old is running your social account.
Yeah, I think another piece with the 90 days and tools and systems is your documents, like making sure your documents like have the, like you helped me with this, property of Stevie Social, page numbers. Like people love to know what page something is on. And if they're
Yeah.
referencing, hey, you sent me this 20-page strategy, like what page did you talk about this specific thing? And then I can tell them.
Yeah.
So like having your logo and having all of your documents, anything that's being sent to a client look really clean and professional because once again, just overall elevation of like,
And it does not have to be complicated. That's the
No.
thing is everybody thinks that it has to be this big old complicated thing.
it's actually very easy.
It's very easy. Like put your logo in the corner, add the page number, put copyright this year, your company name, and then create it as a template. And then that's what you use every time. It just adds a little extra polish. And do not make your letterhead in Canva because you're never going to write everything in Canva.
No.
But having a playground in Canva of your templates to help you do things is going to be really easy. Don't complicate it. Don't follow the trend. If you are not a beauty brand, do not use a beauty brand look. Like don't try to keep it as simple as possible until you can hire a designer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
And be consistent. Once you pick something, do that. Like, done. And if you picked Comic Sans, try again.
Yeah. She really hates Comic Sans. So
I saw this skit. It literally means without comedy. Comic is comedy.
and then
Sans is without in French. It is the font that says without comedy that looks comedic. It's horrible. Stop.
I love it.
Anyway, okay,
Just go
back
on
to
your
the
little
tools.
tangent. So tools. So we
okay.
already talked about Canva. We talked about a project management system. We talked about AI. Scheduling tools are going to be another important piece. If you want something free, I would definitely recommend starting out free because you're going to, as you start a business, you are going to acquire so many softwares. So start out free as long as you possibly
Yeah.
can. Flowdesk is also one that we talked about with email, and that one will cost. But I would say scheduling through Meta Business Suite is going to be best for Instagram and Facebook, and then you can actually schedule directly in LinkedIn several weeks out as well.
Yep.
But I know we've used Metricool, we've used Buffer, we've used Sprout Social, we've used Hootsuite. Like we have tried many, many scheduling tools.
One that I like that is not as super well known is Plannable.io. I really like it. Just because I can see it, I don't know, the user interface is really nice for me. Um, One thing that I think is really nice for somebody like you is your clients can see it and they can add comments and approve things to then be scheduled. And you can add rules of like, if the client didn't approve it, it can't get scheduled. Like it
Yeah.
cannot be scheduled.
Yeah.
But that's a little too much than what you all are doing right now. But whatever the tool is that works for you, use that. You will be inundated with tools. I focus on LinkedIn. I really love Authored Up. It is $200 a year, but the analytics are so great. It helps you think through some hooks. It helps you think through like how you are writing out your post. It shows you what it will look like on the desktop, what it'll look like on mobile, so that you can see where your hook ends or start or like that. And then it also pulls up analytics from last year and it tells you, hey, you should probably reuse this post.
Yeah.
So if you're
Authored Up.
yeah, if you're really getting into LinkedIn, Authored Up is probably my favorite. There are some other ones out there that claim to have AI backing them, but I haven't seen anything as robust and easy to use writing wise as Authored Up, in my opinion.
And I think that's a great segue into analytics. Find a software. If you're going to be like the analytics within LinkedIn and Meta Business Suite aren't going to be robust enough for you to actually see what you should be posting, make decisions off of. You can screenshot some stuff, upload it to ChatGPT and ask it to help you analyze and then help you make decisions moving forward and how should I change my content plan. But I would say anything before 60 days, you don't need to really mess with. Like you can kind of see, is it reaching non-followers? Are people interacting with it? Do you see and do you sense some traction when you're looking at the numbers? And you're probably going to be sensing that in the first 60 days of posting anyways. Like this is working or this really isn't working. You kind of get that like gut feeling.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say to like really dial in on the numbers until you've been posting for a while. Like give your strategy some time, give yourself some grace because you're not going to do things perfectly and you're not going to execute the strategy perfectly. So give yourself a few months before you actually start really looking at all those metrics and then start making decisions based off of it. But
I think it'll be more disheartening at first.
Yeah.
And
but a lot of the softwares
crumble your confidence a little bit more, but just keep going. One thing that helped me when I was going through Brand Lab was, so they recommended Authored Up, and so I've been using it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But they said, stop looking at the likes, stop looking at the follows, look at the engagement, which is like this number that like people don't totally look at. But that engagement number really tells you if this is like an engaging post, if it was thoughtful,
did it bring value?
Did it bring value? That's where you can tell, because not everybody's going to like it
Majority
or reshare it or anything, but the engagement is rating, did somebody stick around and read this?
Yes.
Which is the whole point of doing all of this.
Yes, because like we've mentioned in other episodes, those people lurking are usually the ones that end up booking a discovery call and can potentially become clients. But most of the time, people who get on discovery calls with me have never liked any of my LinkedIn posts. They've never commented on them, but they've watched them. And everyone brings up my videos and everyone brings up the content and everyone brings up certain case studies because they're out there and they're on my page. And so when they're scrolling through, deciding who they want to hire, my LinkedIn is like a huge expertise, credibility builder, and they come into the discovery call more warm because of it. And so I would definitely say invest in an analytics tool that is tracking from day one, but don't start like dialing in on the analytics and all these numbers until you've posted for a while. And then also just know that it takes time. I think we see a lot of business owners make mistakes in the first 90 days with just even thinking it's going to be a quicker turnaround time and they're going to have all these discovery calls booked and they're going to see their revenue increase and they're going to feel like an expert and they're not going to have, what is it, imposter syndrome anymore, and they're not going to feel cringy. No, that's not true at all.
It
Like,
takes a while. It takes
takes
a
a
while.
very long time. It absolutely does. And that muscle building also takes a long time. So give yourself a lot of grace. When you mess up and you don't get on and you don't post for a few days, like get back on the train, get back into your systems, get back into your rhythm, and realize that like you want to do this for the long haul. We're in here for a while. And so don't let that overwhelm you. Allow that to give you the grace to get back up and keep going.
Yeah.
I would also,
I almost feel like people who have not really been active on social are kind of waiting for social to like fade away.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
just a fad.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. So the faster you start building that consistency muscle, the better you're going to get at being ahead of your competitors. And like Kelsey said, I just closed a client and she literally told me over drinks when we were together. She's like, yeah, what pushed me over the edge was your LinkedIn content.
Yeah.
She never told me that in the discovery call, never told me that in when we on the onboarding, none of that. She told me over drinks like a few weeks later. And so, but I can go back and I can see she never liked any of my stuff.
Yep.
I had no idea she was looking at stuff. And that's normal.
Yeah, it is. So that's why don't be discouraged. And I mean, what are other mistakes you feel?
I think the mistake number one is assuming you know your ICP when you don't, and assuming you understand their problems rather than asking what their problems are. And then also you're creating all this content and you have nothing that like is
clear.
What is the end result? Like, what is the thing that you're wanting them to do? Is it just to get followers? Is it to get leads? Is it to get customers? Is it to grow your email list? What is that end goal that you're trying to do? And trying to focus on all of the end goals is detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing is like people just give up too quickly.
Yes.
It's the biggest mistake. Like you just give up too quickly. It's too hard. You don't have the grit to keep going. And then you don't ever get to see the results that come. And so, like I've mentioned a million times, just keep going. Just keep going.
I like to tell clients this. I'm like, building a brand and building your social seems like it's not that big of a deal, right? Oh, I'll just hire an agency to do it. I don't need to figure this out. I don't need to learn it. I don't need a personal brand. Your marketing is an extension of your business.
It's your full digital footprint.
Like it is. So like you would not miss a meeting with your CPA or a meeting with your attorney. You should be focusing on your marketing.
Agreed.
It is the thing that will drive sales. So if you don't want sales, you have a dying business. And if you want a dying business, don't do any of this.
And we don't want you to have a dying business.
We're a diving one. Whatever.
I mean, diving businesses could be cool.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Diving into different pools. Just kidding.
And we're done. Bye.
See you next time.
And that's a wrap on this episode of We Know Marketing, We Promise. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your business bestie. Want more? Follow us for updates, behind the scenes, and plenty of marketing gems.